strong magnitude 4.4 quake struck Cascadia, North Washington off Vancouver Island in Canada, and a strong 4.6 magnitude quake struck Barstow, California, just 6 hours after that. This is not the first time we've seen Vancouver earthquakes hit in Southern California. It's because it's in the area of the Walker Lane fault system, which has hundreds of fault lines there. It's an area just parallel to the east of San Andreas Fault. And we'll take a look at them together in the map, because we recently had very large quakes on the west coast, Alaska and Canada. Remember those 4-point-something, 5-something? And I said we may get quakes in California because the pressure travels down, and that's exactly what happened. It first went down to Vancouver, and from Vancouver, a couple of hours later, 6 hours later in this case, it hit south of Ridgecrest. Let's take a look at the map. We're at Sizemore, Berkeley, and even though we have the west coast here, we don't have all the, even though we have Alaska here, we don't have all the quakes plotted. But if you go to the Canadian map, you'll see, look at this. Look at this. These are the big quakes, Alaska, Sitka, Alaska, and that took place 2 days ago, but they're not on the USGS map. But they're there. The whole thing was shaking. You see this? Okay, and of course right down here as well, on the 22nd, 3.9, and they worked themselves down. They pressure worked down, just as we saw previously. Now this is Vancouver Island right here, and this is our area of Washington. This is the area where we had quite a few quakes recently, and even the time where we had North Island of Vancouver, where we had the Bella Bella, Canada earthquake, and hours later it struck to Ridgecrest. The pressure went to Ridgecrest in July. Okay, so here we have this earthquake, 4.5, shallow, 10 kilometers depth, 4.5 at 24th, 1:35 UTC, and it went to 7 p.m. UTC on the 24th, 7 p.m., 1:35, well, about 5.5 hours later, let's say 6 hours later, it went down here, okay, at a 4.6, again, very shallow depth, and let's take a look at them now. I'm not looking at the aftershocks, but we did have aftershocks. 546 people reported feeling this. 546 people, and it's not very populated in that specific area, as you can see here. We've got the shake maps and everything, okay, but sorry, did you feel it? Yes, they felt it. They felt it even here in Canada. And let's go put on the tectonics. Okay, and the population density, you'll see it's not that populated there. It's basically here that we have all the residents. So even though it's not that populated, they did feel it around here. I guess these are the people that called in. And going back to this one, 4.6 in Barstow, a lot more people felt that. 1,593, as we can see here. This is Ridgecrest here, Mojave Desert. And let's go to the aerial so you can see a lot better. Okay, there we go. This is Ridgecrest around here. That's the lava. This is the Coastal Volcanic Field. This is the San Andreas Fault, as we can see here. Let's pull out a little bit. Okay. San Andreas Fault. This is the Garlic Fault right here. Garlic Fault. San Andreas is the largest fault in California. Garlic is the second largest. And this is the Walker Lane fault system. It's a series of faults. And it has the high threat volcanoes of California right here as well. The San Andreas takes up 75% of the subduction pressure from the Pacific Plate under the North American Plate, and about 25% is taken up by the Walker Lane fault system. But because of the fact that San Andreas and Garlic are locked, zipped together, whereas this one is a number of faults, it moves more because they're not, they're just juggling with each other. They're jolting with each other. It's not one fault, it's a series of faults. Many times when we have the Vancouver quakes, hours later we get quakes down here around Ridgecrest. That's not the first time. It happened in July when we had the Bella Bella earthquake up here. 13 hours later we had the 6.4, and then the next day we had the July 5th, the 7.1. That happened again in 2015. We had a 6.2 magnitude here north of Vancouver Island, Bella Bella, Canada, and 24 hours later we had a Ridgecrest earthquake of a moderate, like 3.5 magnitude. So we see that as a pattern, the pressure hits down here. And a couple of videos back, there was the video concerning the links between the two biggest earthquake faults, the Cascadia, and the San Andreas. That here, this area here, and the San Andreas. Yes, they jolt each other. They jolt each other. Okay, so we're lucky that they weren't any bigger, and the pressure is released that way. But they are expecting bigger quakes. They have warned the officials and the residents that they should get their earthquake apps so that they could be immediately notified if they will be shaking in the area where they are. It's like a GPS type of tracker, and tracks where you are at any point in time. And if there is shaking to be under you, they will give you a couple seconds warning. So this is what happened today. And if we go to the smaller quakes, there we go. That's you can see that the West Coast is still active. Okay, it's a lot less than we used to have. We used to have thousands a day, but this seems to be getting less. And again, this is a mantle plume under there, and of course the mantle plume here, and the mantle plume goes to the West Coast and also feeds Yellowstone. The Yellowstone magma, the mantle plume, comes from Baja California, right here. And it's a strange thing, depending on the depth. It wraps around towards the east-northeast. And they say that it's because there's a slab cut under there that forces the magma to go this way. Like a cap forcing the magma to turn this way under the Rocky Mountains. So all of you there, please be very careful, because as we said, even though it's not that populated, 500 some odd people felt it, reported it, so there a lot more felt it, of course. And the one in Barstow, where is it? This one here, yes. In Barstow, 3.5. 3.8 kilometers depth. Okay, there we are. That whole area felt it. See, they stopped the square, whereas if they continued the square, you would have the tracking, the movement a lot higher, obviously. And I would venture to say that they did feel this in Los Angeles. So all of you, please be very careful there. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.